Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, it is 31 days of the government shutdown as the Republicans and the Democrats blame each other for paralyzing the government machinery. The Trump's approval ratings are taking a bit of a beating, but the question, of course, is this: how badly will Donald Trump be singed politically because of the government shutdown? And in the United Kingdom, late Virginia Giuffre's explosive accusation of sexual abuse forces the hand of King Charles III to strip his younger brother Andrew of his royal titles, and is also ousted from his long-term residence at the Windsor Castle. But let's of course start with this big story from the United States of America. 31 days of the US government shutdown, and there still is no progress that's been made on the negotiations between the Trump administration and the Democrats. The federal agencies and the American citizens are paying the price for this bipartisan standoff. Now, the leaders of both the Republican and the Democrat Party continue to engage in a blame game, accusing each other of shutting down the government that has put livelihoods and the American economy at risk. Listen in.
Day 30 of the Trump Republican shutdown, and House Republicans remain on vacation. They've canceled votes for 5 consecutive weeks. House Republicans are missing in action. Yet, Speaker Mike Johnson is saying the quiet part out loud. It's extraordinary that earlier today, Mike Johnson admitted that Republicans are willing to starve hungry children in this country and take away SNAP benefits starting on November 1st so they can pressure Democrats into gutting the health care of the American people.
I just want to say to any Democrat in the United States Senate, we are happy to talk about any policy issue. We're happy to talk about health care policy. We're happy to talk about tax policy. We're happy to talk about regulatory policy, but not at the point of a gun. You do not get to take the American people's government hostage and then demand that we give you everything you want in order to pay our air traffic controllers. It's a ridiculous set of demands. Let's reopen the government, and then let's sit down and talk about how to compromise on policy for the American people.
A new poll shows growing public concern over the ongoing US government shutdown and the increasing disapproval of how President Donald Trump is handling it, with 3 out of 4 Americans now saying that they are very concerned about the shutdown. Trump's approval on government handling is now slumped to 36%. Now, according to the new ABC News Ipsos poll survey conducted between the 24th till the 28th of October, 3/4 of the Americans say that they are concerned about the shutdown, which is up from 2/3 when it began on the 1st of October. The share of those who are very concerned is in fact jumped from 25% on the 1st of October to 43% today. The polls are also suggesting that concern cuts across party lines. Nearly 9 out of 10 Democrats, over 7 in 10 independents, and more than 6 in 10 Republicans say that they are worried. Amidst rising concerns and also impact showing across the sectors, the SNAP program is bracing for ramifications from the 1st of November, and the government shutdown will impact the SNAP program, which feeds 1 out of 8 Americans. The volunteers across states are preparing meal kits to help the beneficiaries of the federal funded program.
I have seen the impact that this is going to have on communities and families around, and it's really tragic. And so any type of way that you can give back or serve any type of community, you need to. Like, it's really an advocate for service right now.
All right, now to put things in perspective, and is there a way out of this shutdown? We joined this broadcast by Mr. Richard William Painter, who's an American lawyer and a professor at the University of Minnesota Law School. Mr. Painter, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, this is a bizarre sort of a situation for people who do not know American politics. 31 days of government machinery being paralyzed because the government and the opposition cannot agree on certain things. Is there a way out legally for Donald Trump to try get the government machinery back up and running?
Well, I think it's critically important to get the government up and running. When I was the ethics lawyer in the Bush White House under President Bush, we didn't have partisanship that was this intense with Congress, that we'd have to shut down the entire government for long periods of time. And the problem is that the United States government keeps borrowing more and more money. So in order to raise the debt threshold to borrow more money, they have to have a vote. And the Democrats are saying, we're not going to vote for that unless some of this money is used to continue the healthcare subsidies that were in place under the healthcare law passed under President Obama. The Democrats have a lot of support for that position with the American people. Now, the problem is that conditioning or reopening the government on extension of the health care benefits is not that popular position because the two are separate issues. But then again, I think the Republicans need to realize that taking away health care from large numbers of people in the United States and dramatically increasing healthcare insurance premiums is not going to help them in the elections next year. And they ought to agree anyway that we do need to have these healthcare benefits. That being said, there are other issues where the Republicans' position is a lot more popular with the American people than the Democrats. And the Republicans could come back and say, well, then if you're going to do this with the health care benefits, we want this or that. They need to both sides need to negotiate. And this has been going on way, way too long. It's time to reopen the government.
Right.
We're wasting money this way. We're going to have to pay government workers in the end for this time in which they have not been working. We're going to end up having to pay workers. And the government is falling behind on a lot of its work that needs to be done. This is a colossal waste of money.
That's interesting that you put it this way, that it is a colossal waste of time and effort. But Donald Trump is, of course, paying a political price for this. But he's also suggested something interesting. He says that he wants to do away with the policy of filibuster, something that even the Republicans are not in complete support of. You know, for people outside of the United States, explain to us what is this policy of filibuster and why is Donald Trump opposed to it?
The policy is that a bill cannot advance through the United States Senate without the support of at least 60 senators. And this gives the minority in the Senate the power to veto bills, including here the bill reopening the government. Now, ironically, some decisions are made by the Senate, including confirming United States Supreme Court justices with barely 51 senators or 50 senators plus a tie-breaking vote from the vice president. So the Senate's made up its own rules as they go along here, giving power to the minority with the 60 vote required for a bill, the law to pass rule. They probably should think about making an exception for reopening in the government if they're making an exception for the nomination of Supreme Court justices. Because once again, I mean, this is just a colossal waste of money, and it's really going to hurt our country. It's going to hurt our national security and our economy.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Painter, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
All right, let's now shift our attention to the other side of the Atlantic. British royalty is in damage control mode yet again. And the monarch, King Charles III, has ordered for a pretty unroyal exit of his younger brother, Prince Andrew, as accusations related to the infamous Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal are catching up with the 65-year-old. Now, King Charles III has stripped his younger brother of his royal titles and has also been asked to vacate from his long-term residence at the Windsor estate. This follows outrage at the renewed accusations of sexual assault that were made by one of Jeffrey Epstein's main accuser, Virginia Giuffre. Now, many have been astonished at the action that's now been taken by the monarch, although it had been some time coming.
I'm pretty astonished, I have to say. This is the strongest action against a member of the royal family that I know of. And I think that the king is acting very much here in harmony with public opinion, media opinion, and parliamentary opinion. I think when we have those three forces lined up together, and I've never seen as much criticism of a member of the royal family as we've had of Andrew.
Now, the announcement comes days after the posthumous publication of Virginia Giuffre's memoir, in which the purported victim of the Epstein reiterated in shocking detail the allegations that she was trafficked to have sex with the then Prince Andrew 3 times, including twice when she was underage and just 17 years old. It is understood that Andrew did not object to the king's decision and that the British government had been consulted. It's also understood that Andrew will, of course, now move to the King's estate in Sandringham, Eastern Norfolk, and will be privately funded by King Charles III. And his ex-wife, who lives with him, will make her own arrangements. His daughters Beatrice and Eugene will retain their titles as princesses. Now, Andrew, who's the second son of the late Queen Elizabeth II, had agreed to pay Virginia Joffrey millions of dollars in 2022 to end her civil sexual assault case against him, despite continuing to deny the allegations with bizarre reasonings. Now, earlier in the month, the disgraced royal's biographer had said that Andrew could face criminal charges as fresh accusations have surfaced in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's sex scandal.
I do think that there's a very strong case against him because of malfeasance in public office. I do think that if the Met had properly investigated these sex trafficking allegations, he would have been charged, and I hope they will now do so. And I also think there are grounds, given his role in this as Special Trade Envoy, for the National Crime Agency to investigate him. So I think he's on the ropes.
The Britons have reacted to this development, with many hailing the move and saying that it was long overdue. Listen in.
I think it's a long time coming. I think that it was clear from very early on that he wasn't a very nice man and that was not very trustworthy. And I think maybe that he should have done it a long time ago. But well done for doing it now.
Definitely a good thing that the royal family are taking accountability and acting on what's happened. I think there definitely could have been more done, but I think for now it's a good start, and it's nice to see reaction instead of just not saying anything and not doing anything, so yeah.
Now, just days before the November budget, Chancellor Rachel Reeves is facing a political storm, though she's admitted her mistake over a license that was needed to rent out her family home. And here's how a rental oversight has now become a serious ethical and political headache for Labour's most powerful minister. The United Kingdom's finance minister is in the spotlight, but not for any taxation issues. Now, Rachel Reeves, who's serving as the United Kingdom's first woman Chancellor of the Exchequer, has been caught in a row over the breach of ministerial ethics code. Now, Rachel Reeves has admitted that she and her husband had failed to get a selective license before renting out their Dulwich home. The license is required by Southwark Council in certain areas. In a letter to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, she called it an inadvertent mistake and said that she took immediate action and then applied for a license. The Chancellor and her husband have been renting their 4-bedroom house in South London for about $4,100 a month since last year. Under local rules, landlords in the area need a $1,150 selective license. Rachel Reeves initially told the Prime Minister that she had been unaware of the requirement, but emails that have been released by Downing Street show that the letting out agency had promised to apply for the license, but then subsequently failed to do so. The agents called it an oversight and apologized, but the emails also showed that the license was mentioned several times, raising questions about why Rachel Reeves initially had told the Prime Minister that she was unaware of the rules. Meanwhile, it seems that Prime Minister Keir Starmer has stood by Rachel Reeves. In his response, the Prime Minister has said that his ethics advisor found no intentional wrongdoing, adding that an apology is a sufficient resolution. Now, Downing Street has also confirmed that Keir Starmer has full confidence in his Chancellor, who is now finalising her budget that is expected sometime next month. But the opposition is not convinced with Keir Starmer's response. The Conservative leader, Kimi Badenoch, has called for a full investigation. And experts say that Reeves could in fact face a civil fine of up to $37,000 and could be ordered to return more than $51,000 of rent if liable by the council. Now, the controversy has come just weeks after the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, resigned over a property tax issue, acting as a double blow to Keir Starmer's already strained administration. With a tough budget and rising public scrutiny, Labour's image of competence and clean governance is being tested. Though Keir Starmer may have drawn a line under Reeves' rental row for now, the political damage could run deeper. With the economy under pressure and public trust eroding, the question is, can Labour survive the storm?
The opposition, Angela Rayner. have been in power for over a decade, marred in their sleep.
On the other side of the English Channel, in France, in a historic move, France's National Assembly has narrowly passed a resolution tabled by the far-right National Rally for France's withdrawal from a long-standing migration agreement with Algeria, a country with French colonial history. The resolution focuses on the 1968 Franco-Algerian agreement, which favors the Algerian nationals in their ability to live and work in France. The resolution scraped through by just a single vote, 185 for with 184 against, marking a major legislative victory for Marie Le Pen's far-right party. The vote has come amidst heightened Franco-Algerian tensions following France's recent expulsion of several Algerian diplomats and disputes over visa policies. The French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has expressed support for the move, saying that the deal should be renegotiated. However, the left-wing parties have condemned the resolution and have accused Macron's alliance of enabling the far right by failing to mobilize their numbers. Now, only about 33 of the 92 Renaissance MPs were present for the vote.
I think it should be renegotiated. It belongs to a different era, another period, and I sometimes invoke the 1960s as an example, but it's clear we are no longer in the same time.
This isn't a law. It doesn't come into effect today. We're dealing with political posturing with this resolution. That's the reality. It will never be implemented. It's just a signal being sent. We'll have to analyze what happened here.
At some point, do we vote based on party labels or on the substance of a text? When France's interests are at stake, we must show that we can vote on substance. Otherwise, in this assembly, nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever move forward.
The developments have come at a time when Macron faces increased opposition in the National Assembly, with his centrist alliance struggling to gather support to pass a budget that is acceptable to all sides amidst heightened political instability. France has already seen 5 prime ministers in a span of 2 years, and widespread protests against Macron and his policies have paralyzed France. Now, Macron's approval ratings have also taken a bit of a beating. According to a new poll by the veteran group, Emmanuel Macron is now France's least popular president in the last 50 years. The survey, which polled 1,000 people, shows that Macron's approval ratings are at a staggering 11%, tying the lowest figure ever recorded by the firm. The previous record holder was Macron's predecessor and the former boss, François Hollande, who had hit 11% approval ratings in late 2016, shortly before announcing that he would not seek a second presidential term. The political temperature in the state of Bihar in India is reaching a fever pitch, and political parties are competing against each other in making some pretty big poll promises. The latest addition to the list is the ruling NDA, which has released its manifesto in the capital city of Patna today. And the key promises include 1 crore government jobs, 10 industrial parks and factories in every district, chipset, semiconductor and manufacturing parks, an employment scheme for women, and 125 units of free electricity. However, across the political spectrum, there is a common theme in these poll manifestos: the promise of millions of government jobs. But the Bihar government's own data suggests that this is easier said than actually done, and here's why. The Tejasvi Yadav-led India bloc has promised 1 government job for 1 member from every family in Bihar. And according to the state's 2023 caste survey, there are 27 million families, which translates to a promise of 27 million government jobs. The survey has also suggested that paying salaries for these 27 million jobs will cost the state a whopping 6.75 trillion rupees, which is more than twice the state's total budget for the current financial year. Similarly, the promise of NDA's 10 million jobs, that is 1 crore jobs, will cost the state an additional 2.5 trillion rupees. This is a tall ask for a state that is already struggling to shore up its revenue sources. Last year, during his Independence Day speech, the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar himself had admitted that his government had in 2020 set a target of creating 1 million jobs by 2024. Only half, or about 0.56 million jobs, were created. That is 0.56 million jobs in 4 years. However, this hasn't stopped the NDA from promising 10 million jobs with no specifics on how and where these jobs will actually come from. Now, Tanzania continues to be under a communications blackout after protests marred the presidential polls in the East African nation. Now, the country's main opposition party, Kadima, has claimed that nearly 700 people have been killed in 3 days of election protests. In the first information released by the international body, the United Nations has said that credible reports have indicated that at least there are 10 dead, while Amnesty International has said that it has information of at least 100 people being killed. In the semi-autonomous archipelago of Zanzibar, the ruling CCM has been declared the winner of the local vote, even as the opposition party, the ACT Wazalendo, has rejected the result and has called for fresh elections. Now, earlier in the week, the presidential polls began in Tanzania amidst widespread allegations by the opposition that the ruling party and also the Electoral Commission intend to rig the polls. Now, Tanzania's largest opposition force, the Kadima, has boycotted the polls, citing a demand for fundamental electoral reforms, while the presidential candidate for the second largest opposing party, the Alliance for Change and Transparency, has been disqualified for the country's Electoral Commission. With no heavyweight opposition candidates cleared to compete, critics are alleging that the vote is less like a contest and more like a coronation for incumbent President Samia Suluhu Hassan. The thousands in Serbia are moving towards the country's capital, led by students. Many are gathering ahead of a two-day march to mark the anniversary of last year's train station roof collapse tragedy that has killed 16 people. The frequent student-led protests are also demanding accountability from the government that they have accused of corrupt practices. Take a look at these images.
Well, who else can I believe in? Look at all this youth here. I am a grandfather, and I have belief in my grandchildren and my sons.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. This is Mohammed Saleh signing off. Thanks for watching.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yowon.com.
Welcome this season of spooks, chills and thrills with our list of Halloween movies. Know all about the most iconic high school characters of all time. And take a look at the cinema co-workers who either ended up fighting or just never got along. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
He's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.